Happy Monday, folks, and welcome back to WWE Network and Chill. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, where every single Monday right here on the show I break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking WWE 24 Finn Balor, the episode that aired 2 weeks ago on May 15th, 2017. Great special. I actually watched it as it aired the first time originally 2 weeks ago, after Raw ended with my girlfriend Haley, who was up for the week. I half paid attention to it. I watched maybe a quarter of it while paying attention. So I figured I would rewatch it, review it for you guys here today. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. One of the better 24 specials I've seen in some time. And that's saying something, too. All the 24 specials are great. I've talked about quite a few. I've talked about the Seth Rollins one on here. I've talked about WrestleMania Monday, WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 32. Quite a few of them. So check them all out right here on WWE Network and Chill from the past couple of months. Let's get started here, though. We kick off the special with footage of his post-WrestleMania comeback, and then they go back from there to Finn Balor's initial injury that he suffered at SummerSlam late last year, which I was at, by the way. No one knew that he was hurt until the next morning when the news came out. We were all hoping it wasn't as bad as it would end up being, obviously, and it was, and it sucked. But he talks all about SummerSlam 2017, just the wave of momentum he was riding heading into that event, after his hot debut on Raw in the summer of 2016. I said SummerSlam 2017. I meant SummerSlam 2016. I typed down the wrong date there. He talks about NXT, his championship run down there, lasting almost a year. They show footage of the injury, which is just nasty. Again, it's a freak accident. You can't blame Seth Rollins. He does the power bomb spot pretty much all the time. I mean, he maybe should not have done it into the barricade. That was a bit reckless, but you can't blame Seth. You can't blame Balor. It was a freak accident. But again, like I said, no one knew that he was actually hurt until the next day. Now, you can kind of tell he was hurt based off the fact he didn't raise his hand in the air, and a lot of people thought that was just the fact that they didn't want to show the championship, which was being booed, which was obviously not talked about here. The fact the title was being booed by the Brooklyn crowd, which was disheartening because I was there. John and I were kind of pissed the crowd was hijacking the match, but that's neither here nor there in relation to this special. But he knew as soon as he got hurt that it was dislocated. He knew that he was screwed. He actually popped it back into place at that exact moment, which shocked me. I didn't know that, so that's pretty... and I hate all the shoulder popping shit. I hate that, so that was kind of gruesome to watch. And I think you do see it, too. I think they do. I think they do show footage of him popping the shoulder back into place, but he was disappointed to let people down. He wasn't happy after the championship win, knowing that he would be hurt and he was going to be taken out of commission for the next couple of months, so he wasn't too happy with that. He couldn't even lift the championship, like I said. His shoulder was completely fucked over to the point where he couldn't even raise it in the air. So he knew at that point there was nothing that he could do. But he gets consoled by Sami Zayn, Neville, Kevin Owens, all of whom are good friends of his apparently, which is not surprising considering they all spent a good amount of time in NXT together. They're all great friends. We get this Balor montage as he vacates the title of his upbringing, how much hard work it took to get to that point of winning that championship, and now he has to vacate it the very next night. Very heartbreaking. We get comments from Owens and Neville and Zayn and the like, and Big Cass and people like that, people that he's close to. Like I said, the initial diagnosis was a small labrum tear, but it ended up being much worse. I think it was at first 3 to 4 months, which is why I remember telling John as soon as he got hurt, like the next day when we were at Raw in Brooklyn, that same arena, we were talking about Royal Rumble return. He can come back, win in time, and be back in time for WrestleMania. Obviously, that didn't happen, and he was out for another 2 months after that. He was out for a total, I think, of 7 months. He came back in March. He got hurt in August, so he was out for, 7 months in total. But yeah, at first they thought it would only be a 3-4 month recovery time, and it was obviously not a lot longer, but significantly long enough to take him out of WrestleMania, which we'll talk about soon enough. But he was thankful for his parents being there, who were present at the event when he won the title and lost the championship, unfortunately. And when he was there, they were there when he got hurt, obviously. He talks about the rehab process being boring, which I could only imagine. I would friggin' drive myself crazy if I had to go through something like that, so I commend him for that. He talks about how he distanced himself from watching Raw in the time that he was hurt, which makes sense. A lot of people, I know CM Punk did the same thing after he left the WWE in early 2014. He didn't watch any wrestling at all. I mean, that was a bit different because he lost all passion for it, but Balor loves it so much he can't bring himself to watch it. because he can't be there doing it at that exact moment. So it's kind of understandable. He then go home. He then goes home for the holidays. Talks about not being home for the having not been home for 12 years, which is crazy. I guess he had said that he had been there here and there on and off for the past decade or so, but not for an extended period of time. That was kind of shocking. He goes back to Over the Top Wrestling, I think in Dublin, I'm pretty sure. He goes back to Over the Top Wrestling right before their Christmas special as a huge surprise. I can only imagine being there and just getting this huge shocker that he would show up and unadvertised, which is pretty freaking cool. So that was an amazing one-off appearance there. He talks about his family's upbringing, how he would wrestle in the backyard and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. You get footage of Mini Balor wrestling with his brothers and his friends and shit like that, which is awesome. He talks about how he always knew that he wanted to be a wrestler, which you kind of get the same comments from. They did this mini special on him, I think, a couple of months ago. Like, my son wants to be a WWE superstar, something along those lines. And they talked about a lot of the same comments from that special were used for this one, or vice versa, rather. And so you kind of get the same comments with him wanting to be a wrestler, and his parents were very supportive of his dream and stuff like that. He then talks about the UK style being very different from the Japan style, and where he would wrestle for the next stage of his career after wrestling school and stuff like that. How it was tougher and how it helped him get tougher as he progressed throughout his career. He talks about his friendship with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows eventually as well, the origin of the Bullet Club, how it became so huge. They don't talk about it too long, but they do mention the Bullet Club, which is pretty cool. They show some photos, not of like the Young Bucks or anything like that, but they do show photos of the early incarnation of the Bullet Club with Balor and later Gallows, but Carl Anderson and all those guys, which is just surreal that you would ever see the Bullet Club on WWE programming. But I mean, I guess you kind of do currently, and you have in the past with like AJ Styles and the Club and stuff like that, and Balor. But still, it is surreal to think about. But regardless, he talks about how working with the heavyweights over in Japan helped make him a more well-rounded performer. Being a leader of that Bullet Club, being a top star over on the Japanese wrestling scene, helped him get to the WWE. Before we get to his WWE days, he goes back to his first ever wrestling school where he came out of, Sheamus came out of, Becky Lynch came out of. He says never to forget where you came from, which is absolutely true. He reunites with his friends and family at a pub, just having a good time, bonding, and stuff like that before heading home after the holidays to return to the PC to begin his in-ring return, getting back in the ring, taking bumps, running the ropes, that kind of stuff. On January 3rd, the very first day the PC opened back up after the holidays, he's back in the ring, getting healthy, getting cleared, which is great. We get a cool little Skype session with him and Carl Anderson. Those two have a very close relationship, as you can tell from this special. And also their interactions in the past on Twitter, on Ride Along, and stuff like that. Ultimately, he ends up rehabbing at the same place as Seth Rollins. And we get some footage of those two working together as they kind of bond. And obviously, Rollins feels terrible about hurting Balor inadvertently at SummerSlam. But now he's hurt after being hurt by Samoa Joe when Joe debuted on Raw back in late January. So they're kind of working together and helping each other get cleared and get better and get healthy and shit like that, which is cool. The first time they've ever really spent a significant amount of time together as friends, which is awesome. So we get some footage of that. He then is cleared by the doctor. They don't give an exact time frame. I think it's late February. It might have been mid-February when the doctor comes in, because he said by the 27th, but he would not return to the ring until March 10th in Buffalo. And he talks about it too. It's funny because Balor does say that if he was writing his own story, he would have come back on an episode of Raw or at a pay-per-view. But he randomly comes back at a live event in Buffalo, of all things, and not even like the Madison Square Garden show. I think he was at MSG the next day, or maybe he wasn't. I think that might have been a SmackDown show. But anyway, it was just so funny to hear him say that because it's so true. Maybe though, in their defense, they wanted him to come back and test the waters to see how he was doing in the ring, how he would do, if he was healthy enough, if he was good enough. He himself had said to the doctor that he is as good as he can be in the ring in terms of whether he's healthy or not with his shoulder without being in front of a live crowd. So maybe that was a test run to see how he would do. And he succeeded. He looked great in there. He said he had a blast, so obviously he flourished. But that being said, although that was in early March, He still missed the Royal Rumble, which you talked about, that being the initial timetable for his return. Missed that. And then his eyes were on WrestleMania, and everyone was hoping that he'd be there, myself included. He wasn't. He missed WrestleMania ultimately as well, which sucks. But creatively, there wasn't anything for him. I think it was a better idea to hold him off until the night after WrestleMania than to rush him back in literally 2 or 3 weeks and, just put him in a random program with Triple H or Samoa Joe or some random crap like that. That would have just been pointless. They probably made the right decision holding him off. And he also talked about how it won't matter in the end if he's wrestling for the next 10 WrestleManias, which is absolutely true. And if he does, and I am very certain that he will, then it won't matter that he missed his first one, because going forward he's going to have many more WrestleManias, and at least they didn't rush back to a meaningless program or a match with Samoa Joe at WrestleMania 33. But yeah, they talk about the Monday after WrestleMania setting the tone for the rest of the next year, which is true. And Balor coming back, as Big Cass says, makes Balor the next, year, the year of 2017, the year of Finn Balor. Fans from all over the world congregate for this one show the night after WrestleMania with a rabid crowd, which is absolutely true. This year was no exception. And he came back to a massive pop, looked great in there in that tag team match with him and Seth Rollins against Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. They worked well together, had an awesome match, and the crowd went nuts and they loved it. Then we close out the special with a video package of Balor and his time in NXT, WWE, his upbringing, pretty much a career retrospective for Finn Balor, a tribute video of sorts, set to Demons, fittingly enough, by Imagine Dragons. And that closes out the 24 special on Finn Balor. Like I said, that I thoroughly enjoyed it. That this was a great special start to finish. A lot of cool stuff in here that I didn't already know. A lot of awesome footage with him and Zayn, Neville, Owens, Rollins, Gallows, Anderson, and so many others. So check it out on the WWE Network. Like I said earlier, all the 24 specials are awesome, so check them all out when you get the chance. They're all close to an hour long, but they're all worth seeking out. They're all amazing, so please do so when you get the chance. This one is no different. Very, very much enjoyed it, so check it out at your leisure. But like I said, that is the 24 special on Finn Balor. Next Monday, I think I will be talking about, we'll be back on track with my reviews and stuff of stuff and being on time and whatnot, because there was nothing new on the network. Last Monday after Raw, they showed a replay of the UK tourney special. Not the UK tourney, the UK one-off special that aired back on May 19th. And then the next day, they aired like a New Day thing on their WrestleMania ride, which I won't review. There wasn't a lot to it. It's only like 20 minutes long. But it was good, though, to see how they kind of, their WrestleMania Final Fantasy attire came to be for WrestleMania this year. So check that out when you get the chance. But yeah, next Monday, which I think will be airing on the network tonight after Raw, a new table for 3 with Michael Hayes, Jim Cornette, and Eric Bischoff, which sounds amazing. So I can't wait to watch that and review it for you guys right here on the show next Monday for WWE Network and Chill. So that being said, guys, thanks for checking out the show. I appreciate it. Drop a like, comment, share the video, subscribe to the channel above all else. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Enjoy Raw tonight, and I'll catch your ass down the road.